Hey, middle aged gamers, welcome back to another podcast. We are considerably late. I apologize for that. We'll talk about that story later. So you need to stay tuned because we're going to get right into today's stories. And today's first story is going to be with Adam. Very cool. I remember, was it you who talked about this earlier on the podcast? This durability. Damn, you are totally right, sir. So the average number of players is up 11,000 in the last 30 days. Peak average players in the last 30 days, 264,000 players in June. So it's been like 100,000 plus players for the last almost 2 years. I mean, that's impressive for a game to like keep maintain that number of players. Yeah, no. One thing I'd like to point out for you listeners and viewers, well, it is extremely hot and humid here in Taiwan. So I know that's affected quite a few people's internet. Adam mentioned he lost internet. I lost internet probably 2 or 3 days ago for like an hour or 2 hours. No, what are you on Adam's mic? Oh, okay. Thank you, Adam. I can hear you. That means yeah, it's going to be an OBS issue then, right?
Okay, there we go. Oh, but all that audio is going to be gone now.
Oh no. I mean, Adam, while you're here, I mean, do you want to give us like another 60-second take on this so we have a short?
All right, I'm going to do this again so we can get the shorts here. Sorry, everyone, but we'll get the gist of it. Okay, so if you've been wanting to play Naraka Bladepoint and you just haven't gotten around to it, now's the time to do it. It is finally out on consoles as of last week on July 14th. And it is free to play. So it is free to play everywhere. You can play it on Steam. You can play it on PlayStation. You can play it on Xbox. I do not think it is on Switch, unfortunately. But if you have been looking forward to this, as I said, now is the time to try because you really have nothing to lose. And this game is really popular online. It's got a pretty high player count. And yeah, give it a shot. I personally have been trying to play it. My internet has unfortunately not been working as well as I would like it to. But yeah, this is something that I will be checking out for sure.
Nice. So I remember you said the next time you'll be streaming will be Thursday evening our time, right?
Hopefully. I mean, I meant to stream on Monday and I didn't get around to it, but hopefully, yeah, it'll be tomorrow night.
Okay, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on, and again, we'll talk about some of that maybe towards the end of the show. But yeah, this looks cool. Definitely not something for me, but I definitely see, people love multiplayer games, and this is. I think do you pay for this on Steam or is it free to play?
It's free to play now. I got it. Like I said, you guys didn't hear this. Korean did. I got it a couple of years ago. It was on sale on Steam, and I picked it up, and I just never got around to playing it. And then finally, I saw the announcement that it was going to be coming to consoles, and I was like, okay, well, I'm more of a console guy. I'm more used to the controller. I'm gonna give this a shot when it comes to console, and just never got around to playing it. So I do have it on Steam. It's actually installed. I've been updating it this whole time just in case. I'm like, all right, maybe I'll play it now. Maybe I'll play it now. Um, so I've been keeping it consistently updated, but I haven't played it on Steam yet. So yeah.
No worries. Cool, Adam. Thank you very much for that update. That is interesting, and I'm surprised that this maintains such a high player count. But good, yeah. If you're enjoying this, let us know down in the comments. Let us know down if you're watching this as a YouTube short. Please let us know. It would be wonderful to hear what you guys think about this game and how long you've been playing it. What's it been like over 2 years? Because games do change over time, and it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's talk about Marvel's Snap, which is something my current card game. So, if you guys are watching this on YouTube or you're watching the live stream, this is a video captured from my PC last night. I'm like, okay, I want to show the spotlight stuff. I'm like, where is their video? I didn't want to take anybody else's video off YouTube, and I just captured it from my PC. So, let me explain. Right. So, what is the spotlight cache system? In any card game, in any digital card game, even real life card games, right? If you're playing Magic in real life, one of the hardest things to do is to get cards, right? And get good cards. So what Marvel Snap did, right? Instead of saying, okay, I'm going to spend money, 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 and I'll get all the cards I need, right? Cards are gated by levels, right? And if you can see in the video, I'm like level 2,800 and something. As I level up my cards, I will get more cards, right? So that's kind of how it works. So it's very, very hard in Marvel Snap for you to like whale out and just buy all the cards because you'd need thousands of dollars, right? Whereas in a game like Hearthstone or other digital card games, you just keep on buying packs until you have all the cards that you want. But this meant that like as a new player, right, I'm missing some essential cards. Some of these, if you're a Marvel fan, you might know some of the names. I'm missing like a Sarah. I'm missing like a Doctor Doom from Fantastic Four, which is a really good card. So what Marvel Snap did, the company behind Marvel Snap second in, they said, okay, we're going to do the system where every so many levels, you're going to be able to have a choice of one of these four cards. If you're watching the video, you can see there's a new card called Echo. There's a card called Iron Lad. There's another card, right? So when I hit this Spotlight Cash level, I get one of these cards, a 25% chance to get like the newest card of the week, right? And if you're not sure what that is, basically Marvel Snap gives you a new card every week. So the meta is always changing because these cards are roughly from somewhat impactful to very impactful every week. Now, this Spotlight Cash system just started 2 weeks ago. And what I wanted to fill you guys in is like the overall reception has been negative, and I understand why. So as a typical middle-aged gamer, you don't have time to play this like 8 hours a day or 4 hours a day. So you're playing maybe an hour a day. And in an hour a day, 7 days a week, you can be able to get one of these Spotlight Caches. So you can be able to get one of these cards. And again, it's not a guarantee you're going to get the card that you actually want out of the four choices, which kind of sucks, right? I was lucky last week. I got my one card. I got the Living Tribunal. Again, if you want to talk about these cards and what they mean, we can have a whole separate video about that. I can find some time to do that. And I'm like, that's cool. But then this week, there's a new set of cards, and I didn't have a chance to get the card I actually wanted last week because I just have a week to play, right? And of course, I'm playing my real game, which is Valheim, on my own. I'm playing V Rising as well with my friend Hans. That's it. That is it. So this is a problem a lot of people have found is that, look, you don't have a lot of time to get these Spotlight Caches. There's a big gap between this Spotlight Cache and the other Spotlight Cache. So I got one, and every week it resets, right? Roughly about Tuesday, 11 a.m. Taiwanese time. And then you have another week in which to get the next set of cards. So someone like me, I'm getting one card a week. So that being said, right, second dinner said, right, they're going to be evaluating the system. They're going to be like, okay, this is not working for people. We're going to change it, which is good. Now, how long they're going to wait to change it is another story. But at the moment, it is good. It's not great. It's still going to allow you to get some of these really, really cool cards that you wouldn't have been able to get, or you'd have to wait a very long time to get, because some of these cards are really locked at the 5, 6, 7,000 levels. If you're watching some streamers or YouTubers, they're at level 22,000 or level 25,000, right? So they have all the cards and they have all the variants. So if you are a Marvel Snap player, let me know what you think. I'm content with the new system. I think it could be better. I think one of Marvel Snap's downfalls is that you're unable to play some of the best decks just because you don't have some of these core essential cards. And even if you try and play around, you're trying to like make other decks. Unfortunately, right, the way some of the cards are balanced, you're never going to be able to be as good as the top 5 decks because there are no other cards that equivalent power level. So yeah, that's it for Marvel Snap. Let me know what you think.
Yeah, so I'm kind of curious here because I'm looking at the video and I see your little mouse pointer moving around, but the screen's really narrow. So are you playing on like a phone and then on a PC and recording it on a phone and then going over this on the PC, or how are you playing
No,
this?
Marvel Snap on the PC is in this vertical format.
That is an odd choice.
And again, they've just made it for mobile, right? Like this is a game. It's meant to be on a phone. It's meant to be one-handed. A lot of the gestures and stuff are hold your finger on your screen, right? So on your PC, you'd have to hold the mouse click in order to do this. And again, this has not been like second gen's priority has been just like mobile because that's where the market is. But streamers do play it. Like I've worked on a streaming setup where you have the game on the right-hand side, you have the deck that you're playing on the top left, you have your video on the bottom right, and it actually looks kind of good. Like I've set it up, and unfortunately, Kick did not want me to stream. But it looks weird on its own when you're playing, but it does look good. Like they have 4K resolution textures for cards, so this does look really nice. It is 4K vertical, but it does look really nice. Yeah.
Okay, so this is kind of like a parody thing where they're like, well, let's just give everybody the same UI. So if you're the kind of person that wants to play on your PC and then switch over to your phone, you don't have to kind of relearn the UI or rethink where things are. It's like everything's going to be in the same place, no matter where you go.
Exactly, exactly. I hope they will release a PC like version where it's like full landscape mode and stuff. I don't think that's gonna happen. I'm sure they can see, just like we can see on our podcast, who's listening on a cell phone, who's listening on a computer. Just they can see like, okay, most people are playing on mobile, so there's no impetus for them to say, okay, we need to spend more money developing a landscape version for a MacBook or a desktop PC.
Do you think the solution is just to put these things closer together in level, or make people level up faster, or what would your solution be?
So my solution would be put these things closer together. I think one card a week for a typical middle-aged gamer is not good enough, right? Again, this is sort of rewarding the people who sort of wail out in this game and spend 3-4 hours playing this every day, 7 days a week, which is cool. But like again, you don't have time to do that. I don't have time to do that. And I think like this comes down to the idea of middle-aged gaming, right? We are the people who have the money, right? Like, and I'd spend money on this, right? I am spending money on this. So make it easier, and make it easier for people to as long as you keep the middle-aged gamers happy, right? We will continue spending money once a month for season passes and buying like cards or expansion packs or packs to support ocean sustainability and that sort of stuff. And yeah, but at the way it works at the moment, it's okay. I don't think anyone's gonna be too unhappy about it, but it does mean that you're still gonna, every time I look at like the top tier meta decks when I go to snapzone.com, I'm like, oh my god, when am I gonna get this card? I want to play with this card. It's so cool, and I just have to keep waiting because I can't buy it.
Mm.
Cool, sir. What is your second story?
So my second story is going to be about Baldur's Gate, and obviously this is a really popular game. People really loved Divinity: Original Sin. People really love the old Baldur's Gate. So if you have been looking forward to this, then it's going to be exciting, or you're going to be excited to know that there are going to be, let's see, there was 17,000 variations of the ending. Now don't get too excited there. These are 17,000 variations of the ending, not 17,000 endings, which means that basically if you take all the choices that you make throughout the game and then you look at, how each one affects the ending, when we've compiled all those together, there is a total of around 17,000 possible combinations of these results. So if you have, say, for example, 3 characters and each character has 2 fates, then that's what, 2 to the 3 to the 3 squared, 9 possible endings basically. So that would be 9 variations of the ending, because you would have AAA, AAB, ABA, BAA, BAB, BBA, and BBB, right? So those are all the possible variations that you could have. So it's more like that. It's not, they're not going to feel significantly different, or at least many of them are not going to feel significantly different. But that is exciting, because it does mean that even though the endings might not be super variated, it does mean that there's going to be a lot of choices that you can make in the game that are going to have some form of impact. So to me, that's what's more exciting, is the fact that the lead up to this, that we have all these possible combinations, means that we're going to have a lot of choices in the game that are going to have some kind of impact on where we go in the end. So that to me is really, really exciting. And they mentioned there's 174 hours of cinematics. There's 22 subclasses. I think the maximum class you can get is around, it's not very high, I don't remember the exact number, but it's around 12 or so. So you're probably not going to be diving too deep into many of those subclasses. And I would assume that most of those 174 hours of cinematics, they're not all in one playthrough. I'm assuming some of those cinematics are going to be, if you take choice A, you're going to get this set. If you take choice B, you're going to get that set. So, don't feel so, don't feel it's so daunting when you go into it and you're like, oh my God, this is just going to be a movie. No, you're not going to be seeing everything. But yeah, I'm really excited. I know a lot of other people are really excited. My friends and I, the ones that I play Apex with, we are already, we played through Divinity: Original Sin 2, and when they announced Baldur's Gate 3, we were like, okay, as soon as that game comes out, we're all getting it, and that's gonna be our weekly thing, is playing through Baldur's Gate. We've already discussed which classes we want to play and that sort of thing. So yeah, looking forward to it.
That's really cool. I mean, this has been an early access, and people have said really amazing things about it. I played Divinity 1, Divinity 2 as well. I'm excited about this, but this is sort of falls into the line of like, when am I actually going to get time to play it? And Starfield as well. So, but I'll definitely suggest that to my brothers. Like, hey, let's play this after we play Valheim. That we're sort of enjoying that sort of survival builder thing that we're doing with Valheim and V Rising, and I know my brother's playing another one. But Baldur's Gate. I remember playing this in the '90s, seeing the first one. I remember seeing like I'd read about like, okay, this is gonna get really geeky, but I read about the spell like magic missiles in books, right? Like I grew up reading fantasy, and I'm like, okay. And the first time I got to see like a graphical representation of magic missiles was in Baldur's Gate 1. And I remember the game, and I remember there was a scene in Baldur's Gate 1. It was like an in-game scene where a guy casts magic missiles, and you see these little orbs spawn in a horizontal line, and they hit an enemy. Like, oh my god, that's so cool. I wish I could do that. But this is exciting, and I saw the collector's edition. I'm like, yeah, I just wish I had time to figure out when to play this, because I'd love to buy it. And one of my coworkers was talking to me about Starfield as well. I'm like, oh my god, I want to buy Starfield now, but I don't know. But yeah, no, this looks fun, looks exciting. I haven't heard a single bad thing about it. The one thing I don't know if you experienced this, Adam, was in Divinity 1, I felt that like as you got higher levels, combat sort of dragged on. Like in the beginning, an encounter would be like 5 minutes, but as you got to like level 18, level 19 in Divinity 1, you felt like it would take 45, 50 minutes for a battle, which really irritated me. And I don't know if you felt that playing number 2.
I have not played it single player. I always, we were playing multiplayer. Um, and I wonder if to an extent it didn't. I mean, the battles themselves probably felt longer. We definitely died a lot of times and had to redo battles several times. But I'm wondering if maybe it didn't feel quite as long because since we were playing as multiple people, when rather than it becomes a character's turn and then you think, what do I want to do with this character? We're thinking, what do I want to do while it's the other two guys' turns? And as a result, as soon as it's our turn, we basically have already decided what we're going to be doing and, can get right into it. So that might have made it a little bit faster or at least feel a little bit faster in that sense because, yeah, we're not having that, the time that you spend thinking, we're doing that while other people are playing, not you think you play, you think you play, So because of that, the three of those, you have those three thinking phases, but they're not taking up time because they're being done simultaneously. So I don't know. Maybe it felt like that. Or maybe also, too, because I was playing with friends, we're chatting the whole time. So it's not just, you sitting there in silence like, so I mean, that might have, when you're having fun, time flies. That might have been an issue as well. But the later fights definitely did take longer. I wouldn't say they necessarily felt as long, but yeah.
I mean, like I remember playing number 2 with my brothers, and I felt like that definitely fights went faster, was much easier. Even though I mean you're playing with like AI players, but with like computer players, for some reason we didn't change the difficulty. This game felt way easier at number 2 anyway. And I remember just bouncing off number 1 at a high level just because the enemies felt so tanky, and it felt like you had to do a lot more to get something to die. But I'm sure they'll fix it. I mean, this is this is a Baldur's Gate universe. It's not the Divinity universe. So I'm looking forward to it, and we'll see. When is this coming out?
August.
August next month. Oh my god.
Or they moved it. It was weird. They moved it. I think what did they say? They moved it forward on PC and they moved it back on console. So I think they moved it later on PlayStation and they moved it earlier on PC. And then Xbox, we're still not sure because they're still trying to get the split screen to work. I think it's split screen to work on the Xbox Series S, and PlayStation, not PlayStation, Xbox wants parity across both systems. And until it works on both systems, they will not allow them to release. And so, because of that, they had to push back the date on the Xbox, but they didn't want to make everybody else wait. So they're still going to be releasing pretty soon for PlayStation and PC.
That makes sense. It does make sense as well because, I mean, again, this comes down to the fact of early access. This has been an early access on PC for a long time. They've had tons of feedback, right? If you've ever been an early access gamer, you play games, and if something crashes, something is like, hey, do you want to send this feedback to the developer? And I think as a middle-aged gamer, I say yes now. But so that's it makes sense about the PC version. Cool.
Yeah, and when I heard that news, it actually kind of made me think too, because I mean, that was one of the things that they said with Final Fantasy 16. Now, I still don't know why Final Fantasy 7 Remake was not on Xbox. That should have been on Xbox by now. But I was wondering if part of the issue with 16 was because people were even saying some of the big icon fights, their PlayStations were heating up really hot. So I was
Oof.
wondering if maybe some of those were a bit too intensive for the Series S, and because of that, it basically made it that they're like, well, we could do it for the X, but for the S, it would struggle quite a bit, and it was just that was part of the decision where they were like, it's just too much work. So I don't know if
Yeah, that's an interesting take by Microsoft, but it sort of makes sense. I think
oh
that's like
yeah,
a corporate philosophy of like, hey, where we have these devices, but we want the same experience across all devices instead of saying, hey, this is my Sony Xperia $1,500 phone, and this is my Sony Xperia $1,000 phone. I want the same experience, but actually it's impossible because the $1,500 phone has a latest gen Qualcomm processor, and this has a last gen processor. So I think companies need to get away from that because it's ridiculous.
I think of the Xbox issue. I think part of it was that this isn't like a mid gen upgrade like the PlayStation Pro or what was it, the Xbox One X, where this is mid generation. Where like, okay, this is going to be a step up. You're going to get the same game, but it's going to have slightly better frame rates or better graphic. The graphics are going to be the resolution is going to be better. The resolution can be fine on the Series. Like the Series S, if the resolution is lower, that's perfectly fine. If the frame rates are a little bit lower, I'm not sure if they wanted frame rate parity, but because for instance, Starfield is going to be 4K on the Series X, and it's only going to be 1440 on the Series S. So resolution, they seem to be perfectly okay with having a slightly lower resolution. But I think part of it was when they first came out, they're like, hey, here's the big boy Xbox and here's the budget Xbox, but you're going to be able to play all your games on both. So, don't worry, about that. And I think because of that, it did get to the point where like we made a promise that all these games are going to be delivered on both, and you're going to be able to get the same experience with the exception of maybe slightly lower frame rates or slightly lower resolution. But the game is functionally going to be exactly the same on both. And I think that because of that, they basically say we have to have this policy, because if we change now and we say, okay, we're going to allow it on the X but not on the S, people who bought the S are going to be really mad because we told them they can play these games, and now we're like, sorry, too late. So I think in that sense, they're thinking, we said we're going to do this, we have to stick by those promises that we made.
Yeah, no, and I agree. I mean, like if you do say something beforehand, I don't think it's a good idea to change
No.
things. So that makes sense. But I think going forward, insisting on parity across like an ecosystem of devices it's a bit ridiculous because people buy devices for different reasons and different economic levels, and um, so you need to be respectful of that, and also at the same time, understand. I mean, people when people buy a lower end part of a console, like, yeah, I know this is not going to run things at 4K. That's fine. Um, I play games at 4K on PC, but at the same time, I know at some point this card that I have in my machine is not going to be able to play games at 4K anymore, or 8K when that eventually comes, and I'll be playing games at 4K. And I know my younger brother plays games at 1080p, and I have not played games at 1080p in forever, but that's fine for him. So why not?
A bit of an embarrassing story about that. I was trying to get I got a new not a graphics card. I got a new capture card for my TV, and it was having trouble interfacing with the PlayStation. And so I was looking up all these things, and one of the solutions was to uh, turn the PlayStation 5 down to 1080p from 4K. So I had done that, and I had forgotten to reset it. And I had played the entirety of Final Fantasy 15. Sorry, Final Fantasy 16 in 1080p on my 4K TV, and I had no idea the whole time that I was playing in 1080p. Yeah,
You didn't
so
notice at all?
I didn't notice at all.
Oh
I had
damn.
no clue. Yeah, until recently, I was trying to do video capturing for. I was trying to do the video capturing so that I can, put together some of the videos that I've done. And I was like, why is this? Why is it not showing me the option for 4K video? What's going on? And I was trying to figure out why I couldn't get the option for 4K video. And then finally I realized because I set my PlayStation to 1080p. It's not set to 4K. So why would it record a 4K video when it's only rendering the game at 1080p? That's why. So then I set it back up to 4K, and I was like, okay. But then when I set it back up to 4K, I was like, to be honest, I really don't see that big of a difference.
Damn. Like, I mean, for me, when I first got this monitor many years ago, if I had to play some games at 1080 because my graphics card back then did not support some games at 4K. And when it went to like 1080 was just like blurry. Like even you, right? Like I'm at 4K right now, and like of course your video is blurry, but if I had to switch this resolution down to 1080, I know it would look even more horrible, and that would suck.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe my vision's starting to blur anyway, and I'm hitting the cap.
My vision is already starting to blur.
But you got glasses. Maybe I need glasses. Maybe if I had glasses, I would notice a difference.
Maybe. I mean, when's the last time you had your eyes tested? I guess if you have to think about it, it's been a long time.
Yeah, I guess it was the last time we had to do the health check for renewing
Oh,
my ARC.
back in the ARC days. Oh, so that is a long
so
time.
that'd be 2011, maybe 2010. Maybe 2010 was the last time I had my eyes checked. They're good enough. They function.
Okay, yeah. I mean, if it functions, if it's not broken, don't fix it, right?
Exactly.
Okay. All right, let's move on to my second story, which is gamers, middle-aged gamers in India. I am sorry that unfortunately, Steam is not being banned, but it's kind of being banned. So let me explain what this is. This is from afkgaming.com. Thanks to them for the story. So you should go definitely check out the article on their website. So the Indian government has decided to take a page out of the Chinese government's book, and they've really clamped down on basically three categories of games. Games that involve betting, games that can be harmful to users, games that have an addiction factor. And you're like, wow, pretty much all games can be addicting. So are they going to ban everything? So in the AFK Game article, they mention a bunch of ISPs in India channeled through cable internet, GTPL, Gujarat Alliance, West Bengal, BSNL, Maharashtra, and Andhra Pradesh, Tata Fiber. They have started basically banning certain parts of Steam. And what that means is basically like, yeah, these ISPs are going to become liable if they don't ban this stuff. So they're like, okay, you can access this page, you can access that page, you can't do this, you can't do that. And I think this is going to go very much like China, where it's like, hey, you're under 18 and during the week you can only play these games, right? Or even if you're over 18, they're like, okay, we don't want people playing these games. And some of these games do have some sort of betting elements. There are loads of casino games, at least on Steam in Taiwan anyway. I'm not sure about other countries. So that's something for you to consider. You might have to be doing using a VPN or some sort of obscuring solution in order to sort of access Steam in the future if you're in India. But yeah, this is unfortunate. If you are a person who's located in India, and we do have a few of you guys, let us know. I mean, are you having issues with your Steam client? Can you still access it? If not, let us know. And what do you think? I mean, is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? And again, you guys know I'm like left-wing radical person. So the current party in India is called the BJP, right? They are a right-wing party, very much similar to the Republicans in the States or the KMT here in Taiwan or the Chinese party. So this seems, again, more in line of what they're doing, which is clamping down and being more authoritarian. So if you're in India, you should vote them out at the next election, right? Because India is still a democracy. But no, coming back to this as well, like I think the only difference here is that Steam or gaming companies in general can go to the Supreme Court in India, who is very much like the Supreme Court in the States. Now the States, they're sort of packed with right-wing Republicans at the moment. I'm not sure about the Indian Supreme Court, but they can go and say, hey, this is why you should not enforce this ban because, like, I mean, it is crazy, right? Banning games that are harmful to users, like, I mean, any game can be harmful if you play too much, right? Or if you're playing 10, 12 hours a day. So it's way too broad, and I think hopefully this will get thrown out in a legal battle. And this makes sense. I mean, India is the most populous country in the world as of a few months ago, and it is a country that everyone's trying to get into, right? With if you're mobiles, right, cell phones, Apple's trying to set up more in India, even though they just closed down the factory. India is still going to be a huge market. Gaming, of course, for Epic, for Steam, because people play games, and then mobile gaming, of course, mobile gaming is huge in Asia. So we'll have to see how this goes. I hope this. I mean, it's already happening. So this is already happening. Let me make that clear. I hope it doesn't continue to happen at some point in the future.
Yeah, that does not sound fun.
I know. So yeah, no, I was surprised. I guess not entirely surprised by this, but I'm surprised that it happened so fast, and there was no build up to it. But I mean, India is a very interesting place politically after having visited it, and knowing a few Indian coworkers at my current workplace as well. So um, I guess this is something we'll keep an eye out on, and let us know what you think.
Yeah, when they put things like, oh, we can ban it for was it addictive or
Yeah.
for
Being addictive.
being addictive. That sounds like one of those catch-alls where they're like, let's make this just vague enough that I can just pick and choose what I want to ban. So, I mean, the gambling thing, okay, that seems pretty clear, especially if there's certain money transactions. You can definitively say like, yeah, there's a money transaction here, or no, there's no money transaction here. So that you can kind of definitively say. But when you say addictive, because it's also like everybody's different. People are going to get addicted to different things. What's addictive to me might not be addictive to you. One of the things is, I am notoriously not a mobile gamer, and ironically, the two mobile games that I play now no longer exist. So it's unfortunate for me. But yeah, I'm not a mobile gamer. So you give me a game like Hearthstone, and I don't know, it just doesn't click with me in the same way, and so it's not addictive to me. But there are other people who definitely could be addicted to it. And when you have kind of a vague description of can be addictive, then gives you a lot of wiggle room to decide what you feel is inappropriate and what is okay. So yeah, that is worrisome.
Definitely. All right, sir. Let's move on to story number 3.
My story number 3 is that the EU is now basically coming out and saying that we are going to have a new regulation that I believe by 2027 that every mobile device, or maybe even every electronic device, I guess, or that requires a battery, is going to need to have an easily swappable battery. So no longer are you going to be able to have your built-in battery solutions. Now, this is an attempt to reduce e-waste, and when we were talking about this online, I said, well, wouldn't having swappable batteries create more e-waste? Yes and no, in the sense that you're having more batteries that eventually could be thrown out, then yes, that could cause more e-waste. However, the current system is that you throw out the entire, the entire console or the entire product. And because of that, you're not just throwing away a battery, you're throwing away an entire phone, and all that's going to waste. So currently, with these non-swappable batteries, there is more e-waste coming out of them. The other thing is that actually not only do they want swappable batteries, but they also are creating new regulations to create better solutions or more easily accessible solutions for recycling of these batteries. So they've said that currently there is a lot of pressure on third world countries to create or to mine these materials like lithium and that sort of thing, and that's causing problems to the environment that can really destroy, especially local, that can cause a lot of local problems with they get stuff in the water or whatever that maybe people in Europe don't necessarily have to deal with. And because of that, they're saying, well, if we can recycle these batteries, then we are going to be able to reuse these materials. It means that they are going to need to be mined less, and that's going to again reduce e-waste because it's not waste, it's being reused. So yeah, and the other thing that they said that is a bit controversial is the fact that they said it needs to be easily swappable, and what that means can be a couple different things. For example, if you have, like, for instance, my old laptop, the battery was easily swappable because you pressed a button, it popped out, and you just pop a new battery back in. Now, a phone is really difficult to swap on your own, to the point where you have to send it back to the manufacturer basically, and they have to do it. Now, the original PlayStation controller that I got with my PlayStation, reading this article inspired me to finally do this. The battery was not doing so well, so I actually just ordered a new battery online, and I'm going to swap that out myself. And it's not super easy because you do have to open up the controller, and that is a bit of a process, and you have to snap things open and then snap them back together. So, I can do it. I can do it with tools that I have laying around the house, but it is a bit of a process. So when you say easy solutions on the user's end, that's a bit vague, and that's one of the things that people are kind of curious about, is just how easy is easy. For example, Apple recently released their DIY battery replacement packs, so you can replace it on your own. However, one of the things that they've said is, if, for instance, maybe this is a solution, but maybe it's not, because if you need a DIY pack and you can't do it with tools readily available to most people that they have laying around the house, that might be considered inconvenient, that you have to buy these special tools for it. So it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, this will have an impact not just in the EU, because obviously if you're somebody like Steam or Nintendo creating your Steam Decks or Nintendo Switches, why would you have one solution? Why would you have two models, one for Europe and one for the rest of the world? Doesn't make a lot of sense. It's probably just better to create one solution and distribute that everywhere. So yeah, everyone's going to be seeing these results. And there are, however, some people who are a little bit skeptical of this, where they're saying it's a good idea, but you need to be careful in how you implement it, because, sometime by saying it has to be done this one way, it does limit engineering solutions in the future. If we come up with alternative solutions, basically we are not able to do those. So, they are warning the EU, be careful in how you word this, because, it will basically put a limit on how you can engineer things. So, for example, if you were able to create, say, a swappable battery, but for instance, one thing that they were saying with the Switch is you can swap the battery out right now, but something about the way the battery is put in the Switch, you do need to have thermal paste on it to help with the cooling and whatnot. So if you were to, say, use a swappable battery, because you're not using these solutions with, the thermal paste and heat sinks and whatnot, it might actually run hotter in the long run. You might have issues like that. So this is something that people need to keep in mind. So, but yeah, expect by 2027, most of your mobile devices will have batteries that are swappable again.
That's cool. Building upon what Adam said, right? As most of you know, the iPhone 15 is coming out, and I just got an iPhone 14 this year. And one of the things with the iPhone 15 is that it's finally going to join the USB-C. I'm missing this.
Not every time, but a lot of times. We get Korean sneezing on the live show.
This is just it's a combination of things, but okay. For the short, if I do make this a short, is that starting from the iPhone 15 is the iPhone will join every other cell phone company in the world, and you have USB-C as a standard. So no more Lightning cables, right? Which, again, going back to what Adam said, is right. This is the universal solution. Why would you make two different kinds of iPhones, right? It's about economies of scale. You can make 100 million iPhones all using USB-C is far cheaper than making 50 million iPhones USB-C and 50 million iPhones with a Lightning cable. Another thing I wanted to add as well is that there are companies in the EU researching recycling technology for replaceable batteries. Of course, the big thing is Tesla batteries as well. At the moment, I don't know why I said at the well. Adam would know, somebody we work for, Ken, he's like really anti-Tesla, and he makes a good point about Tesla batteries. And that is true, right? Like when a Tesla battery is out, it's out. It's very difficult to recycle those. But the technology it kind of already exists in the EU, and I'm sure it'll make its way to the rest of the world where you can recycle these things. I mean, here in Taiwan, right, our usual AA or AAA batteries can be recycled at your local 7-Eleven or Family Mart, right? That's cool. I mean, replaceable batteries are really, really good. Talking about iFixit, iFixit is a really famous company in the States. You can buy battery replacement kits from them, and they'll ship you a replacement battery. They'll ship you all the replaceable tools. But again, going back to Adam's point of, those are like, people are scared of snapping open stuff. I'm scared of like, hey, I paid $1,000 for this phone. I'm gonna snap open this back part. I mean, I think the last time I had a replaceable battery on a phone was probably my Samsung S9, and that was like 5-6 years ago. My S20 not replaceable, this not replaceable. I don't think I've ever even looked at my Switch to see if that's like easily openable. But it's complicated. Like I remember looking at the replacement battery for my S20, and it was like, take a hairdryer below on this part. When it's unsealed, use this tool to prop it open. Be careful to not apply enough too much force, otherwise you might snap the back of lid. Do this and then disconnect this cable and disconnect this cable, and nothing's freaking labeled. Like, no, it's way too dangerous. But I think this is great. Like Adam's not sweating because he's got the AC on. I am freaking boiling right now with these gigantic earphones and my fan blowing on that side. And I just cannot wait for this podcast to be over so I can like take this t-shirt off and take these headphones off, because I'm dying. I'm dying over here. And it's dying. Like Europe's in a heat wave, and global warming is a real thing, and we need to be recycling more. Taiwan does an amazing job of recycling. I remember it's like number 3 in the world in terms of recycling. And the rest of the world needs to get on that. And I think the last point I'll make is when it comes to the third world, mining all these minerals and stuff. Again, you would have seen this news early this year that a lot of the first world countries or developed world countries that can stop using that old 1980s classification system. They said, hey, if you guys stop destroying your environments, we will give you money. And of course, this is another system to sort of say, hey, replaceable batteries will mean we will have to give you guys later money. And they offered like something like $170 billion over the next 10 years to developing countries to sort of say, hey, we screwed up the environment, so we're going to stop you from doing that as well. So we're going to give you some money in order to stop doing that. So that's something you should definitely keep an eye out for if you are living in a developed country. But yeah. Okay, let's move on to my last story. I want to make it quick so we can talk about some of the new changes we want to implement on this show. So my last story is, and I want to make this very, very clear, it's about a company called Skytech Gaming. And this is not just about them. Why this is about them today is because you guys on YouTube, right, are searching for Nebula Gaming. And Nebula are a line of PCs made by Skytech Gaming. Again, if you're looking about PC hardware and components, we've had like a story every single week. And of course, by me, because I love this stuff. So go to skytechgaming.com, check out their Nebula PCs. This is an option, right? We had an $800 PC last week. This is an $850 PC, which is what I'm going to be talking about today. And I'm going to tell you why you should not buy it, basically. And why a lot of these pre-built PCs, not just by Skytech Gaming, there are a bunch of companies here in Taiwan which do it. There's a bunch of companies in Amazon in the States which do it. Pre-built PCs, they need to make money, right? And computer components have very, very low margins, like 5 to 15%. It's ridiculously low. So why this is a bad PC is, let's start at the bottom, right? It is an 802.11 AC wireless chipset. So what this means is that your desktop PC, right, is going to be on your desk, or it's going to be on the floor facing against the wall. Now, anyone who knows anything about wireless knows you need your antenna high up. If you're living in an apartment or you're living in a house, right, you're going to have metal or other beams or other metallic components which influence magnetic fields, which is going to screw up Wi-Fi. So basically, having wireless inside a desktop computer is a horrible idea. You should get something which comes out, which is attached to a wall, or I will put this on our Instagram at some point. A mesh PC is like a mesh Wi-Fi is probably the best way to go. So that is bad. Number 2. 600 watt power supply for all these modern day components is like very low. You're sort of cutting it very, very thin. You need at least, for a gaming PC, 750 and up. 600 is way too low. Even if you want to go 600, you have to go 600 platinum. So platinum is the highest standard. So this is more complicated than I want it to be, so I won't skip that. But basically, 600 watt gold, not good enough. The second thing I'd like to mention as well is the motherboard. This is a baseline AMD or Intel motherboard, B6600 motherboard. This limits the number of PCs, or not, this limits the level at which you can upgrade your PC. So this is a cheap motherboard, which means that you're actually reducing your performance by buying a cheap motherboard. You can get a bottom of the line tier one motherboard just for like $30-$40 more than what you're paying for this. So also another bad idea, 500 gigabyte SSD. I mean, really, Call of Duty was 180 gigabytes. Final Fantasy 16 on the PC, or no, Final Fantasy 14 on the PC is like 100 something gigabytes, something like that's a huge file. Like you can install 2 games as a gamer and then you're done. Like what? No. And then the last thing is the graphics card. A 3050 is a low tier graphics card. Like that is graphics card for your freaking grandmother. Don't even bother wasting your time. Like that's ridiculous. Like $850. Go back, look at our other video from last week's channel. It's go to our YouTube channel, click on live. You'll get a 3060, which is a mid-tier graphics card, which will allow you 1440 gaming at decent frame rates. This is gonna give you 1080 gaming for some games if you're lucky. That's it. So TLDR, middle-aged gamers, you should not be buying stuff like this. You should build your own computer, find someone like me. Everyone knows a geek like a Korean. Say, hey, Korean, can you build me a gaming PC? I'll be like, sure. Let me know when I'll let you know when I have time and I'll do it for you. Or yeah, it's really not worth it to buy this sort of stuff. Or another idea would be buy it and then replace the components at a later date, right? If you're looking for something to start off from. Yeah. Cool. Okay. So as I mentioned today, is we started off late today. We were going to use something called Zencastr. If you're a fan of the show, you'd know we were recording our audio on Zencastr going back 2 years. And it has been a huge wild ride. We had 250,000 views a few weeks ago. I mean, we did like 30,000 views so far in July, and we're not even at the end of the month. So, I mean, like honestly, to be honest, like if you factor in YouTube, Instagram, and yeah, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook, we're like over 40,000 views this month already. So we're doing really, really well, and we're really thankful for you guys. So we want to step up the video quality, and this is also something that I'm being asked to do at work as well, because I'm doing all these remote podcasts with Google Meets and with Zoom. The problem with this stuff is, right, like this, when I'm sending his video as a compressed solution to me, right, and which is why sometimes he looks a bit blurry, sometimes he's not as clear as he should be, and whereas Adam's looking at himself and he's like crystal clear, decent coloration. Especially he has good lighting and I can see all the wonderful figures behind him better. But unfortunately, I don't get that video, right? I get the compressed view that Google sends to me. So we're looking at a solution called Zencastr. Zencastr did not work today for some reason. Thankfully, we don't have to pay money for that. So, but we're going to test out another solution after the podcast today called Riverside, and hopefully that will work. And then we'll probably use that going forward. But, expect some better quality shorts, expect some better quality long form videos. I mean, maybe expect some better quality podcasts, because after you look at the live video, right, we'll be sending each individual stream locally, not as opposed to it being compressed, right? Yeah, so that's strictly the reason behind that. And yeah, Adam, anything you want to add?
No. Yeah, my sorry. To me, one of the exciting things is that currently the way we've been doing is we've been recording the video basically, and then we just rip the audio directly off of that, which means that all of our audio is one mono track, which means if Antoine's a little bit louder or I'm a little bit softer, there's nothing you can do. That's just the way it's got to be. But with something like this and with recording everything locally, everybody's audio is recorded separately, which allows you to do a lot of things with, you can clear up, maybe if I have some background word sound or whatever, you can clear that up on my audio and you don't have to worry about the other 2 audios, as opposed to, maybe filtering all 3 audios together. And, that might make my audio sound a little bit better, but maybe it kind of fuzzes out Antoine or Korean or something like, that same solution would do the same thing. So I'm really excited about the audio thing. One of the things that I always used to do when I was editing the audio is I would always offset. I would put like maybe uh, I'd put myself a little bit to the left and put Korean right in the middle and put Antoine a little bit to the right. So, it was a subtle thing, but the idea is, you're sitting at a table and there's three guys sitting at you and the sounds are coming from different things, so I try to make it a little more immersive. You can't do that with mono sound. So,
That's true.
having these, so I'm excited.
Me too. There's definitely something to be keep an eye out for, like overall better podcasts, more streaming. I did not have time this weekend to get like try kick streaming again, but as I told Ted, I gave Adam a graphic like kick streaming is with that 50-50 split is way better. Like Adam would need I think 1,000 subscribers and then he'd be set, and then you'd be seeing Adam streaming 4 hours a day, 7 days a week, right? And he'd just be a homebody and never have to leave his house again.
Much to my wife's chagrin.
Yes, much to his wife's chagrin as well. And then, I mean, once Adam would, I'm like, hey, I can tell my partner, I'm like, hey, look, Adam's doing this at home and he's making nice money. Why can I do it? And then I join Adam, and Adam would be the case in point. I'm like, look, even at 40 years old or almost 40, almost 40 or 40?
Almost 40.
Almost 40, right? Like, look,
About,
Adam's
what month are
living
we
the
in now?
streaming
7?
dream.
Hmm?
Yeah, 40 next year. Yes, because you're the same birthday as my brother who's turning 40 next year as well. Yeah, because you both have the same birthdays. Cool. Okay. So we already know what Adam is doing. So catch Adam on Thursday. And again, remember, Adam is tired and busy, and I'm always bombarding Adam and Antoine with different things about social and things going on and what's happening here. And don't forget to check us out on Threads. We're on Middle Age Gaming is on Threads, and I've put that into my schedule that once a week on Threads I will upload a video or post some comments, and I'm on Threads at least whenever I have time during the week. But at least Sundays you'll see us on Threads. And Threads it's a wonderful place. Less spam, less bots, less right-wing content. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, no, it's check us out on Threads as well. It is pretty awesome. I'm enjoying it. Keep an eye out for Adam's streaming, and then we will see you guys same time next week, hopefully on Riverside for some better video quality. And yes, hope so. We're gonna try it out right now. Take care, guys.
Later.